Hello, dear friends. Here is Cardiac Radio, nourishing our souls together and studying the teachings of Spiritism for immortality. Yes, we are investing right now in our immortality, and it feels good because we know we're not wasting our time. Everything that we're doing here, we're going to take it forever to lives to come, to the afterlife, and it's going to benefit us, mind and bodies, when we're incarnated and, of course, when we're discarnated. Guidelines for life. Jesus in the Home is the book we're studying. Jesus is in the Home by the Spirit Neio Lucio through Chico Xavier. The Spirit author, Neio Lucio, is the same character, and I say, as the character in the book Neio Lucio in 50 years later by Emmanuel. So he was Roman in ancient Rome, a patrician who got to know at the end of his life about the teachings of the Christ, thanks to his granddaughter, Celia. So read the book 50 years later to get to know more about this fantastic soul, this fantastic spirit, Neio Lucio. He has a lot of common sense, discernment since then. So he really surrendered to the teachings and comes to us in this book to tell us about the passages of the Master. You remember Umberto de Campos telling in his book Good News about the schools of the gospel in the spiritual realm. So it's likely that Neio Lucio, it is the fact that he spent time studying about the teachings of Jesus and was given somewhat access to passages, and he was given permission to share unprecedented reports of Jesus' togetherness with the people at the time, sharing the sacred scriptures and lessons for immortality. So this book, as a book that is prefaced by our dear Emmanuel in 1949. As our dear Neio Severo was mentioning to me today, this book was prefaced by Emmanuel on Kardec's birthday, October 3rd, but in 1949. So it's a book that really crowns an era on earth, because it came precisely after when the Second World War ends, as a reminder for us, focus on Jesus in the home to avoid wars. Many people nowadays are talking about predictions of catastrophes and stuff. Let's not forget one thing. The world is of God. God is in charge. If we bring Jesus in our homes, the teachings, we will help the harmonization of the planet. And that's what we need to do right now. So it's not by chance that this book came to life at the end of the Second World War to remind us that to avoid incurring the same mistakes, we need to bring Jesus into our hearts, into our homes, into our families, not enforcing, but living it, right? This is an introduction for us as I say hi to Angie. How are you, Angie? Tomorrow, Angie Stewart is leading another program. I think it's chapter 2 or 3 of the book Among Brothers of Other Lands. Beautiful book. Several spirits through Chico Xavier and Valdo Vieira when they were traveling around the United States, okay, in 65 and 66. Good job, Angie. We look forward to that. John da Rosa, how are you? Paula, how are you? Jailton, Daisy, what a joy, friends. Lívia Moraes, thank you, Lívia. Rihanna, big hug to you and the whole family. Andrea Torres, welcome, my friend. Teresa Castro, welcome. Lea Severo, Alicia, from the Philippines, right, Alicia? Oops, I moved too much. Nora Brazil, welcome, Nora. I still need to reply to your message. Forgive me, please. And Sunshine, how are you? Karina Alice, how are you? Melissa, what a joy. Adilson, Carol Correia, thank you, friends. Okay, Jesus is inviting us to think about something quite special today. The greatest servant. Who is the greatest servant? Let's see. What was happening for him to lay out a particular teaching in that regard? Philip was at the family meeting, and at one point he asked the divine master, Lord, of all the people on the earth, who is the greatest servant of the Father? Jesus thought for a few moments and then began telling this story. Friends, stop, huh? We're learning with Jesus more than words, huh? More than words. Because love is really more than words. It's about what we call in science the emotional body language of the master. He's a complete master. He's not a master of words. He is like a holistic master. He has the whole package, including the lessons that are nonverbal. So here again, he uses silence in between the question and his answer. Of course, Neio Lucio is saying that Jesus he paused, right? Thought for a few moments. Not necessarily he was thinking like as if he didn't know, but he was also giving time for people to absorb the question and focus on the willingness to know the answer. How do we know it? Simple. Not that we know exactly what was happening in Jesus' mind, because it would be too arrogant on my side to say that's why. But we would say, since he's a master, an educator, educators use that technique. Good educators. You want people to reflect, to be permeable before you give them the answer. You allow them to empty out and open up to receive the new. So, somebody asks, who is the greatest service on earth? Pause. Feel it. I'm gonna pause. What's happening in your mind when we pause? Of course, you're asking what's going on. But if you were in that scenario, a silence, a moment of silence in between question and answer gives room for curiosity, gives room for interest, gives room for focus, concentration, mental concentration. Wonderful, master. So that's a technique we can use whenever needed. Okay? In between the lines, we're learning with the master much more than words. Right? Exactly. Weber Costa is saying critical thinking. Beautiful. Raquel Bakeshi, how are you? Welcome, friends. So Jesus thought for a few moments and began telling the story. What's the story? A large crowd gathered in a big field when a famous warrior bearing swords and medals came there to give lessons on military tactics, urging the onlookers to learn how to defend themselves. The people began doing strenuous exercises, leaping and running dangerously, about to no real purpose. Even so, they kept at it, aimlessly and joylessly. Consequently, they lost several young men in such activities as they prepared for the possibility of a war. Not long thereafter, a famous politician arrived in the region with a large collection of law codes. He divided the people into various parties, pitting young against old, poor against rich, and servants against stewards. In spite of the sowing of material benefits as a result of the competition amongst the various groups, the politician went on his way, leaving behind dark thorns of hatred, disappointment, and discord amongst his collaborators. After the politician came a philosopher carrying volumes of old books under his arm. He divided the people into various schools of thought, which soon gave rise to pointless arguments amongst them. Everyone doubted everything, even their own existence. The philosophy, of course, had remarkable advantages. It did stimulate thinking, but the trouble resulting from it was very regrettable, and the philosopher bequeathed a lot of futile questions to minds incapable of such a lofty effort. Next came a priest armed with vestments and symbols. He supplied a lot of rules and regulations on how to worship the Father. The people learned to genuflect, to cleanse themselves, and to plead to divine protection at set times. Nonetheless, all the fundamental problems of the community remained the same. There were no directives, no conscious purpose, no values, no happiness throughout the entire realm. Disease and death, need and ignorance haunted everyone. One day, a humble man showed up. He brought no weapons, no scriptures, no arguments, no symbols. He brought only a spontaneous smile that revealed a mind full of goodwill, guiding his industrious hands. He preached no spectacular doctrines. Instead, through gestures of pure and constant kindness, he rendered true worship to the Almighty. He began to make himself known, cultivating a small plot and decorating it with precious fruits and flowers. He talked with his companions in struggle, making use of the time in fraternal, spiritually uplifting teaching, and he told of his experiences to all who had a mind to listen to him. He worked with wood, planted useful trees, built houses, and set up a modest school. Soon, everyone around him was living in health and peace, fraternity and blessings of work, prosperity and contentment with life. Due to the spirit of work and learning that he installed, defense was good, politics was helpful, philosophy was worthwhile, and the priesthood was useful, because all of the community's activities were now presided over by the holy imperative of carrying out one's personal duties for everyone's benefits. Christ fell silent, but no one in the small group dared ask any question. After gazing at the far-off horizon for a long time in silent thought, the master finished. In fact, There are many workers who deserve the blessings of heaven because of the good they bring to people's body and mind. But those who educate the eternal spirit by teaching and serving stand above all others. First and most important thing, it's clear, this is chapter 7, since the first chapter, we're learning one thing that probably we don't know enough: the power of silence. Jesus is a master who is teaching us how to engage in uplifting conversations and how to use silence, pauses, as a technique to harmonize, to reflect, to build constructive conversations. So that's one of the homeworks for us. Learn how to use pauses, moments of silence in the conversations. Think about a planet more evolved than us, okay? Think about it. Jupiter. How do you think people may talk in Jupiter? Do you think they talk like us? Did you observe dogs when they are talking? They talk over each other. Ow, wow, 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 woof, woof. Wow, wow. I'm joking because I read a book for Virginia on dogs talking to each other, so it's still fresh in my mind. It's like woof, woof, wow, wow, and huff, huff, whatever it is, right? They talk over. It's a mess. Though they're adorable, dogs are adorable, but there are people who are like this. One is talking, the other one is talking, the other one is talking, the other one is talking. It's chaos. Jesus is teaching us, in between the lines, to talk with harmony. I don't need to say everything I'm feeling, I'm thinking. I need to filter and be masterful in delivering what is needed. And then pause. Because he knows the human mind. If we keep talking, non-stop, people won't pick up. Because one word can be a trigger for a long train of thought and they lost everything we said. So it's like, that amount, wait. Like food. One portion, chew and chew and chew and chew and chew, swallow. Hopefully, right? Because we eat so fast. So we need to start by chewing longly and eating slowly to be able to talk harmoniously. Using pauses, silences. People ask, think, do the relaxation breathing, like Dr. Benson from Harvard taught us. Somebody asks, breathe in and out 3 times. Once again. And by the time we breathe the 3rd time, people are like, come on, answer to me, say something. We're not dogs. Though we love them, come on. You bark, I bark, and my turn, not over each other, or just because somebody's barking, I have to bark too. Maybe I don't need to say anything. Using wisely our emotional body language includes our use of silence, right? So that's something for us to meditate upon, right? So the other thing is this. He's talking about people and different approaches. People who come like a warrior. We're gonna fight. We're gonna organize ourselves to defend ourselves. Didn't work. Comes the people, the politician. Didn't work. Created divisions. And philosophy. Division still there. Só came a simple man who had a spontaneous smile. Recipe. So let's write down. Recipe for all of us. He brought only a spontaneous smile that revealed a mind full of goodwill, guiding his industrious hands. So, true joy, right? Goodwill, and industrious hands. And by doing his part, he stimulated others to do theirs. That's it. And that's why Jesus comes to us and says, many workers deserve the blessings of heaven, but those who educate the eternal spirit. Educate for immortality, teaching and serving. That's the greatest servant. So it's about felt feelings. It's about love in action, right? Sunshine is saying, Meaning in Thought and Life, Chapter 4, instruction teaches us the two wings needed for human to ascend to God is love, service, and education. It is the same that Jesus teaches us in this chapter. See exactly, Sunshine. Thank you for the reminder. Service. Right, Chard? Welcome. Welcome, Adriana. And as Teresa said before, the pauses that Jesus do help us open our minds. So our homework, what would that be? It's a quiz for us. If you assess, you know what you're going to need. 1. Do you often have a spontaneous smile? To be spontaneous means you feel it really. It's second nature. You just enjoy your life. You appreciate the good you know. Everybody's a child of God, so wherever you go, you find joy of living. Right? If you don't feel it, here's an affirmation. Okay? I am light. I am peace. I am joy of living. Repeat it to yourself every day. Put your hand in your heart and tell the cells of your body, we are light, we're peace, we're joy of living. 'Cause we are light, and we are peace, and we are joy of living. 'Cause I am light, and I am peace, and I am joy of living. And practice. If something makes you feel unsettled, go back to your core and say, 'Cause I am light, and I am peace, and I am joy of living. 'Cause I am light, and I am peace, and I am joy of living. Angie says, smiling brings happiness to us and others. Angie is the queen of joy, if I may say. You know, there's never a boring moment with Angie around. So tune in at Kardec Radio tomorrow at 9 p.m. Right, Angie? Angela Zago is here with us. Welcome. So that's a technique. If Jesus is saying the greatest servant had a spontaneous smile, it only comes if we feel it. We're children of God equally. So wherever I go, I smile. I remember once people asking me, why you smile too much? Well, cause I'm happy, na-na-nee, na-nee. No, I'm joking. I didn't say that because it was before the song came to life. But it's because Spiritism teaches us that. Of course, there are moments in which we're going to be firm and we have to say no. But deep inside, we go places, and if life is light, and then Jesus says goodwill. Goodwill meaning I'm open to do the good. I choose the good. Goodwill means I choose the good. Are you choosing the good? But Vanessa, no, there's no but. Because God is good. God is so good. God is so good. God is so good. He's so good to us. So, my choice is to do the good. So, I go to work and I tell myself, I'm here to do the good. I'm willing to do the good. I go home, I want to do the good. And then I am by myself and I want to do the good, take care of myself, the physical body, because that's the pet of all pets, the physical body. And then everywhere I go, I am riding the horse. Do the good, do the good, do the good, do the good, do the good. Non-stop, non-stop. Thus, I am ready, have industrious hands, as the greatest servant, says Jesus. Spontaneous smile, goodwill, and ready to serve. Hands to give. As St. Francis says in his prayer, it is in giving that we receive. It is in understanding that we understood. And it is in dying the old conditionings that we live more freely to life. Friends, we're going to invite you to a prayer as we wrap up for today, thanking Jesus for this empowering message, inviting us to our divine essence. Jesus is telling you and I equally, come with me, be this servant with a spontaneous smile, goodwill, open your heart, do the good, and be prepared to serve. Shall we? And the world will be at peace. Right? Let us pray, friends. Let us be grateful to God. Thank you so much, God, for these simple moments, this togetherness, and the precious message of the Spirit's teachings that console and empower us, prepare us to be better co-creators. We pray especially for those who battle against the construction of the good on earth. May they receive a loving invitation, a whispering voice telling them, come, you're loved, you're also light, your peace, your joy of living. Join the Master of all masters. You deserve to be happy. Thank you, and thank you, dear Lord. That's it, right? Yes, Teresa Castro, breathing, driving, and then you felt fear, and breathing helped. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Chris Ferreira, big hug to you. So tomorrow, coming back more as a servant, spontaneous smile, goodwill, and industrious hands. Jesus is going to gather together with us to talk about wisdom. It's the story of the wise prince. What is that to do with our lives? Since we're not royalty, we're kidding. Come tomorrow. there is more here at Cardiac Radio, nourishing our souls. It's gonna be after the program with Angie on Abong Brothers of Other Lands at 9 p.m. Thank you, Sunshine. Thank you, friends. Super hug. And until tomorrow, God willing.